Hello, fabulous friends and fans. Welcome to Synchronicity. I am your host, Nadiya Shah, and this is your moment of synchronicity. Thank you so much for being here. And I am here with Katie Sweetman. Now, Katie has this really amazing podcast, and you can actually get the link on empoweringastrology.com. And her podcast is amazing. She sits down and just talks to astrologers about whatever and everything that we do talk about. So if you are one of those astrologers who likes to talk to other astrologers, or you're a budding astrologer and you want to listen in on a conversation, her podcast really gives you this amazing glimpse and insight into just how fun it is to talk to one of your own. And I'm just so happy that she's here. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
So good. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm glad we could finally connect.
So tell me about, first of all, I want to know about the name, Empowering Astrology. So how did that come about?
Oh my God. So when I was a budding astrologer myself as a teenager, and I read about my chart in one of the old texts from the 70s, and I started to read about my chart, and I always started to read about Saturn square, all these planets in my chart, and the things that they wrote were just like, oh my God, this is my chart. So there was this moment, I think, very early on where I just rejected this, wait a second, this can't be the only explanation of Saturn or only explanation of some of the difficult transits we all experience. There is no such thing as a perfect chart. We all have, the chart is perfect for us. And so as I got older and as I started to get into astrology, it's how can we lift the best aspects of our chart up, whether it's a Saturn square or Pluto, whatever. So that's where Empowering Astrology was born. And I want people to know that, there can be this mindset of your chart is this prison. Oh, I can't do that. I've got blah, 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 blah. Oh, relationships are always going to be horrible because I've got, I do it myself, Venus retrograde, but what are we trying to learn? And really, I think Empowering Astrology is the astrology of consciousness. How do you apply consciousness to the natal chart? Because the natal chart does not measure consciousness. It's just energy.
Wow. So you're so right. It's about the consciousness you bring that determines how you interact and experience that energy.
Yes. And the opposite of that would be somebody who is kind of experiencing their chart on a very default level, a very kind of unconscious. You're really ruled by a lot of societal programming, ancestral programming. And so maybe you are living that Saturn square at kind of the lowest potentiality. So how can you start to move? So what I hope, when I work with my clients is to really get them to start to blossom even in the challenges, because you need, this maybe as an astrologer yourself, you need the challenges to really motivate you to create something. Otherwise it gets lazy.
I remember when I was first delving into charts a very long time ago, right? A very long time ago. I remember when I first started looking at charts, I expected, I started with Oprah and Madonna, I remember, and I really expected to see all these grand trines, and it was filled with squares.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that having a chart that is all squares is going to really motivate you to do something big. You get really lazy in your trines. It's great to have a trine. It is talent. It is sometimes wonderful talent, but you need that hard energy to really kind of whip that trine into shape, or even a sextile too. So I'd say if you get really daunted by your natal chart, you see maybe some more of the negative sides of it, just use it as that motivation to create. And this is, again, what Empowering Astrology is. It's astrology about co-creation. How do you co-create with Uranus and Pluto? How do you co-create with Saturn and Scorpio? I know Saturn and Scorpio, which maybe this is an advanced topic for some of the people listening, but
a lot of students of astrology do watch this. So yes, please.
Good. So Saturn has been in Scorpio since October of 2012, and it's not been an easy time. I'm not going to, sugarcoat it. And we've also been in this Uranus square Pluto time. But again, the astrology of consciousness, how do you best use Saturn and Scorpio? So a really positive way you may have used this time is to do a lot of inner work, a lot of therapy, a lot of emotional purging. These are not easy things because it's Scorpio. Scorpio is not meant to be easy. I mean, we do have to face our shadow and our darkness with Saturn and Scorpio, but I'm hoping that maybe some of those of you listening who are coming out of this time frame and, maybe, kind of licking your wounds a little bit, but you can look back and say, wow, over the last 2 years, like I have really grown and I've transformed. And I think that that's more the exalted version of Saturn and Scorpio.
And just understanding intimacy, I think, is a big one too. Power dynamics.
Yeah, absolutely. Intimacy, I think Saturn and Scorpio has been a really good time to be vulnerable. It's not easy. I say this as Scorpio. I'm a Scorpio myself, but we have had to learn to let people in. Otherwise, it's that, very much that like the wall that comes down with all that, kind of Scorpio, like I can't let somebody in. And so I think, and this is in addition to the Uranus square Pluto, because right now so much is changing that we have no control over. I mean, I should say, I do believe in co-creation, but I think that there are elements of these outer planet transits that like we can't, the ego has to like go away.
So tell me about the podcast. I want to hear about that. What is that like for you? What got that started? And yeah, like tell me about the whole process, like what people can expect when they listen in.
Good question. So it's a lot of things that I create in my life. I'm like, oh, I want to do that. I want to like talk to people. So I just started reaching out to people that I really admired their work, one of whom is at this conference, Kelly Surtees, and she's a great predictive astrologer. And I wanted to just talk about predictive astrology. So thankfully, she said yes to complete stranger. And we had a really great conversation. So that's one. And these are tools that I create, or rather offerings that I give out to people that are learning astrology. Even though we do talk maybe astrologer language, I do try to make sure that those who are learning can also jump in and understand. And as a self-taught astrologer, I feel like kind of on a heart level, it's very important for me to give back, because I like used a lot of the internet to teach myself, and here I'm kind of giving something back. So when people, there's all sorts of topics. Either it's me and my friend Shireen Shostak talking about astrology and a lot of Scorpio themes, or it's very educationally based, like with my talk with Kelly Surtees. So, that's what people can expect.
And so you just started writing horoscopes as well, horoscopes on your website. So tell me about that.
Yes, I debuted horoscopes in October. So if you want to know what October's astrology is like, I don't know if it might be a little like past when this comes out, but I will be having November horoscopes up as well. So if you go to empoweringastrology.com and there's going to be a link to horoscopes in the navigation, and just check it out. And I'm hoping that what I'm creating is a little bit new, a little bit fresh. It's not your grandma's horoscope. This is about like, what are the energies going on for the month, and what can you do? What's kind of speaking to the bigger picture instead of these very, these almost like kind of about the month and like very kind of superficial things. And I'm a Scorpio. Let's get down to the depth. Like, what's going on?
Oh, yes. You want to get to the truth and the core of the truth.
Yeah.
Dig it and go around and see what's burned at the bottom of the pot.
Yeah. So those are my horoscopes.
That sounds awesome.
I was going to say, now everybody's super excited.
Yes, because we want to get deep out there. But you know what? I really think that horoscopes are so important. I do remember Patrick Curry, like friends and fans who've been with me for a while know that I did my MA in cultural cosmology and divination at the University of Kent. That's run by Jeffrey Cornelius, amazing astrologers, and Patrick Curry as well, amazing writer, one of the first guests on my show like 4 years ago. So it's pretty amazing to be here now. And it's really thanks to them. I always try to give them a shout out because I'm forever blessed and grateful for their education. But I know that Patrick Curry has written about how horoscopes, in a very quiet and unassuming way, affirm a universe and a world that is alive with meaning and purpose. And so as much as, especially people when they really get into astrology, they say, oh, sun sign astrology. But, you know, the truth is, I think it's really important because not only does it introduce people to this world of astrology, but also it affirms just that, like what it is that is at the foundation of astrology, which is that the universe is alive with meaning and purpose. And that means so are you. So is your life.
Yeah. So I totally get it. And I think that those of us who study astrology and start to become professional astrologers, sometimes we can turn our nose up a little bit at sun sign astrology. But I think that when done very well, can speak to a truth that everybody is experiencing sign by sign by sign. There is common time, common shared time. So, you know, Scorpios are all experiencing Saturn and Scorpio. So on an ego level, because the sun is very much about the ego, this is about stepping up, taking your place in the world, becoming an authority. So that's something that all Scorpios are experiencing. And I mean, obviously we all are different people and we all have like the kind of the beautiful intricacies of our own natal chart, but that is something that unites all Scorpios right now, just as Pluto and Capricorn is uniting all the Capricorns. So since 2008, all Capricorns have been experiencing this really gut level tearing down of the old life. And then there's that moment where you look at the rubble and you're just like, oh crap, like what do I put on the rubble? And that's, you know, trying to get Capricorns to, I mean, Capricorns are so resilient and I really feel for them because I've been through a lot, but I know that they're going to build something new. But I know that there are some Capricorns that are still like, oh my God, what do I do? So Capricorns out there, you have to build something new. And with the Uranus square right now, it's going to be very innovative, very revolutionary. Like you guys will lead us into the next stage. So those are just two examples of just like common time that's being experienced on an ego level. And there's obviously other examples, but yeah. So yeah.
Katie Sweetman, empoweringastrology.com. You're awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Nadiya.
Of course. Thank you. And, you know, I really believe I was saying to you before, empowering astrology. I mean, I think that's what astrology is about. It's about empowering people. And so you're not only living it, but you are it. Like that is your name. That's what you're putting out there. And I think that's really important. So thank you.
No, thank you very much. It's so nice to be able to talk to you finally. Yeah.
And thank you so much for being here to celebrate Katie Sweetman with me at empoweringastrology.com. Until we connect again, take care.